Hello, this Dating the Old Testament video is about the book of Jonah. Let me share my screen. Okay, Jonah, there you have an old picture of Jonah and the whale. And in understanding the date for the book of Jonah, this is really the key verse. It doesn't come from Jonah itself, but it comes from 2 Kings 14:25, where it says, this is about King Jeroboam II of Israel. He restored the border of Israel from Lebo Hamath as far as the Sea of Arabah, according to the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, which he spoke by his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, who was from Gath Hepher. And this is the Jonah who is the author of the book of Jonah, or Jonah, who at least was the character in the book of Jonah, Jonah, the son of Amittai. And so the traditional view about the book of Jonah, it's very short, just 4 chapters, and they're all 4 short chapters. And it's understood that it was written by Jonah around about 760 BC during his lifetime. There's an alternate critical view, and that's that it was really written around 450 BC, more than 300 years later, as a critique of the isolationist policies of Ezra and Nehemiah. See, Ezra and Nehemiah didn't want the children of Israel to intermarry with the people round about. So there's the feeling that Jonah, because it's sympathetic to Gentiles, to the people from Nineveh, that along with the book of Ruth, that there were both critiques of this policy. I don't put much stock in the critical view. I think there's several problems. First of all, it's just, to me, a dubious premise that a book which has a subversive viewpoint would become part of the Old Testament canon. That just seems both not right and also unlikely. And the second thing is, if you were going to write a book like that, just let's assume that you were going to write a subversive book like that, you probably wouldn't want to do it with a northern prophet. Jonah is a northern prophet, not someone from the kingdom of Judah. The north, they become the Samaritans. So I don't think they would have picked a northern prophet. And as far as a people to be sympathetic with, the Assyrians would be a strange choice because they end up conquering the northern kingdom. Also, this is a little bit more complex, but the theological perspective of Jonah is, to me, it's an early perspective. Let me give you an example. In the book of Jonah, God is described as God causes calamities. He causes them. Now, in later Old Testament passages, it's not that God causes calamities, it's more that he allows them to happen. In earlier books like Amos, can there be disaster in the city and the Lord hasn't done it? In other words, Amos in early books, the Lord does it. The Lord is the one who causes these things. But later books describe it a little bit differently. Also, in the earlier books, God, like he does in the book of Jonah, God changes his mind. And so that's a way that they tend to not describe God quite so much in the later books. And then I pointed this out when I did the book of Joel. You can compare these 2 passages. The wording is pretty similar. Jonah says, "Who knows, God may turn and relent. For I knew that you were a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love and relenting from disaster." And in Joel it says, "Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, and he relents over disaster. Who knows whether he will not turn and relent?" Okay, and back in Jonah, the first part of that, when it says, "Who knows, God may turn and relent," that was spoken not by Jonah, but by the king of Nineveh, who probably didn't read the prophet Joel. So it's possible. I think I have Joel later. See, so I've got Joel being a later book who was able to read the book of Jonah. And so Jonah would be earlier than Joel. So we don't have a whole lot to go on the book of Jonah to put a date on it, but because he was a king, he was a prophet working under King Jeroboam II, and Jeroboam II's reign was a long one, 793 to 753 BC. I think Jonah's book was probably written during that time. So that's the story that I've got on the book of Jonah. Thank you for watching. I hope to be back soon with another video.